I watched The Train last night, 1964 movie by John Frankenheimer with Burt Lancaster, John Moreau, and Paul Scofield. It's so good. It's really, really good. Black and white. Frankenheimer was an amazing, very, very creative director, and it's a great story, etc. Anyway, but it got me thinking about the Nazis. There are a variety on show here, acting, of course, but I tried to think what they reminded me of. They were exultant men mostly, they're often seen in the movie in bars, singing their song, drinking their beers, flirting with waitresses and stuff like that. Um, you know, I don't know where one would go today to see that kind of community of people, but they seem pretty chill given their worldviews, and then you see them on the street doing their job, and they seem to sort of cling together, like people do, I guess, like men do, and they all wear these uniforms, and Paul Scofield wears his spiffingly, and they seem to like wearing these uniforms, and then the upper echelons of power in the Nazi ranks they get smugger and smugger and all the rest. Now, that's fiction. We don't know. We're not really sure. Anyway, it made me think of Epstein and his crew. All of them, the license his company seemed to give to these kinds of people, a version of Trump in a way. Well, if he's that disgusting, my psychotic need of children must be okay. Oh, look, there's Bill, there's Clinton and Gates. Dang, I'm part of the creme in my desire for power over the powerless. And so it seemed to me, Nazism is not really an ideology. It needs no leader. It is basically an anarchy of men. We can argue whether or not they're men or just deviant men. It is deviant, and unfortunately, I think this deviance is of our culture. I don't think it's bad apples, many bad apples or a few bad apples. That we have to remember in some way that the German culture of the late 18th to early 20th century is ideally Western. Our elites still go to the concerts of their romantic composers. The stiff-collared flock to hear the creation of the stiff-collared. The Salieri of Western culture is everywhere. He would have sought out an Epstein or two, like Larry Summers or Mandelson, men who couldn't attract their own women and or men, girls or boys, who needed the procuring. The New Look, another movie about Coco Chanel and Christian Dior during the Second World War. Another movie with Nazis touches on Arletty, the fabulous French actress from Les Enfants du Paradis, etc., and her unrepentant desire for a German officer. Is it the uniform? Adolf was lusted after, we hear. Not all Nazis were Hitlers, but what a talker. But then Epstein and the gang don't seem to like women. Maybe why they choose children, but they seem mighty fond of each other, the Menschen. Lots of authoritarian worship from the Führer on down. It just strikes me too as an inch away from CEO corporate culture. The last guy syndrome on steroids. I might be bullied by my general, but at least I'm better than that Jew. All that shared saluting. I was watching a documentary about Mussolini, which was fascinating with the sound off. It was fascinating. It was a good documentary, but they say such stupid stuff. Just watching it with the sound off, he was often surrounded by men who smiled like children, guilelessly, adoring their little league coach from, 5 to 50, rather like the loony Chomsky smile in some of the pictures of Epstein. The Nazis, the Epsteiners, judging by photos alone, worth 1,000 words, all seem relaxed somehow, and at last in their element with the mighty Jeffrey, men with Men with heterosexual man crushes, the advertised allure of capitalism, after all, are all about the tainted potion of male power, the seeming of it, the desire for what it seems, and the displays of it. In action, it is rarely genuinely possessed by one. It is most often the shocking need in the many to grovel to the one. This takes training, long and hard. Most children ask why. Men don't. Something happens to children that stops them confronting authority. The Catholic parent has filled the kid's ears with veneration for da fada. Do everything the priest tells you. It is this sickness that drives these awful stories. Watching these movies, one wonders how the young Nazi was indoctrinated to get there, to be so lacking in self as he grew into adolescence. Or maybe they co-opted and flattered the rebels. You are officer material. You obey no orders. Heil Hitler. By the time, by the way, we get to Adolf or Donald or Jeff, it's too late, guys. You have grown accustomed to being on your knees and punching down when you get home to your wife and kids. To be an equal, you must be one among many. We are not conditioned to that. Who feels that? When you go to a rock concert, having paid what to be in the presence of who, stuck behind a post, and you keep the ticket stub, you were there. I heard Purple Rain. The best Purple Rain I ever heard was in karaoke. It's that thing of being, I am there. You know, I always find the conventions very odd. I find the conventions, it doesn't matter which convention, all that screaming and yelling and, oh, Kamala or oh, Donald or whatever it is. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is. Those are two particularly disappointing. The reason why one would scream and, it's not Elvis. You know what I mean? These really mediocre people. I don't know what it is that you're cheering for, and I think that the compulsion is very close to what makes Nazism or fascism or any of those kinds of things work. I think that going to any of those, one should listen. One should be listening to what's going on. And I don't mean distrustfully, I mean respectfully. It's just all the screaming. It reminds one of Nuremberg. And it's in our culture. We have a very, very, very authoritarian culture. We are leader addicted. Everybody says we need this leader and that leader. Anyway, the illness around the betrayal syndrome, which is popping up all over the place. Oh, Bernie betrayed us. AOC's betrayed us. Zoran is betrayed. That illness is Nazi. They started it, then they changed. No. America started it, and Bernie stepped into the light. America's always held the key. New York started it. Mamdani stepped into the light. If they feel betrayed 2 months in, it is their shortcoming. Keeping them loyal is not his job. There are no betrayals in a democracy, only in authoritarianism. None of these three are amazing. I do prefer Bernie. I trust him. He's old. He's unsmiling, telling the same story over and over. It's easy to tell. Never changes. No Newsom nuance. And what about that guy? I mean, are you really going to produce that kind of a candidate again? I mean, it's interesting to remember that Clinton and Obama, who are two at least extremely gifted, let's say that word. I think nobody was so gifted as Obama. Two extremely gifted people. Of some disappointment, but I'm not disappointed in Obama because I didn't have expectations of him beyond being that rather marvelous person. This is America. You're not going to change America because it takes Americans to change America, not the leaders. In my opinion, and we're so stuck on leaders, and the leadership process is essentially authoritarian. You know, you start endowing inadequate people with superpowers, and they're not going to show up, and that's because of a lack in you. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, and then it becomes inevitable. It's what will happen. It's not. It is not. We are not fascist. We are not becoming. I mean, what we've just done. Supposedly, we've killed the Ayatollah Khomeini. I can't remember. It's the second one. By the way, who is the person who issued the fatwa against creating a nuclear bomb? But we've gone from pinching Maduro, dubious, to just simply assassinating a foreign leader. I don't like him. I don't like any of these fuckers. But you don't go around assassinating them. That is fascist. We've just arrived there, and it's what's next? I don't know. You know what I mean? Let's wiping out Iran. Anyway, good luck, y'all.